When Layla's mother passed away, her father decided it was time for a fresh start. The new marriage came with a new house, a vast Victorian mansion that hadn't been lived in for decades. To Layla, everything felt unfamiliar and cold, especially her new stepbrother, Daniel. For some reason, he always seemed to know more about the house than he should have. Layla's first night in the house was restless. Her room opened onto a long hallway filled with strange closed doors. In the middle of the night, she was awakened by a faint knocking coming from one of the doors. When she stepped out into the hallway, she saw Daniel walking with a candle in his hand. In the dim light, his face seemed lifeless. "You heard it too?" he asked when he noticed Layla. "Heard what?" she replied, confused. "The rooms. Sometimes they try to speak, but don't worry. As long as you don't open the doors, you'll be fine." Daniel's voice was cold, as though this strange statement was entirely normal. The next day, Layla decided to explore. The hallways of the house seemed endless, and every door looked the same. But behind one door, she heard faint whispers. It sounded as though someone was saying her name. She stepped closer and was just about to touch the doorknob when Daniel appeared behind her. "What did I tell you about the doors?" he asked grimly. Layla stepped back, but now there was a clear knocking sound coming from the other side of the door. "What's in there?" she asked, but Daniel simply shook his head. "Just rooms. They don't matter." As time passed, Layla began hearing the sounds more frequently: whispers, laughter, sometimes desperate screams. One night, she couldn't resist anymore. She decided to open one of the doors. Daniel wasn't around and the house seemed quiet. She chose an old rusty doorknob that seemed to call to her. The moment she opened the door, it was as though the world shifted. The inside of the room didn't look like anything she had expected. There were no furnishings, only an endless dark space filled with moving shadows. The whispers turned into screams and something cold and invisible grabbed her wrist. Daniel burst into the room and pulled her back, slamming the door shut behind them. "What did you do?" he yelled. "I warned you. They know you're here now." "Who?" Layla asked, terrified. "The ones who've become part of the house, the ones who opened the doors, and now they want you too." From that night on, the house was no longer silent. The knocking on the doors grew louder, the voices more aggressive. Layla realized that the house held more than just rooms. It harbored something far darker. And Daniel, though he had helped her, was hiding something. It was as though he himself was part of the house's secrets. Layla now understood. The house wouldn't let anyone escape, and the rooms Daniel called unimportant were actually keys, gateways to another world, one that never lets its visitors return.